All right, good afternoon. So I received an email from Lulu that the EU, the European Union, has changed their guidelines for safety protocols for all uh, commercial sales, online internet. So Lulu sends me an email this morning saying you have to meet and be compliant with the new EU rules, literally as of midnight last night. Well, of course, no warning at all. So I get up this morning, I find this email, and I realize that none of my books, of course, will be compliant with the new safety protocols. Lulu did suggest in the book what you can do to meet, I think, the basic guidelines. I have no idea whether this will cover the basic guidelines, but I went ahead and did it to the books that are available for sale. And I have sent them an email, a customer service email, which I have gotten a ticket for, meaning that I'm in line to. They will answer my questions as they come, as in order. I don't know what number I am, but it's a fat ticket, so it'll be a few days before I hear back from their customer service. But if Lulu is correct, and all I need to do was add my company information to the actual rule books, then I have been able to do that. But in doing that, I also made some changes that I had been planning on a few of the books, and I thought I would go ahead and do an update. But most important, I've been playing before my break. I made a video playing Big Country Basketball Time, and I've played quite a bit of it now. I don't know how many weeks I'm in. But also during this play of my season, I was play testing strategies and styles for basketball. So I honestly believe Big Country Basketball Time is a fantastic basketball game. As fast as it is, it can be plenty deep. But as I was playing through, I said, "Oh, what would be really cool is to add styles, so your coach could have a style, or you could use, instead of calling them styles, you could use them as strategies." So anyway, the point is, I wrote it up, I play tested it, and I went ahead and put the add-on in the free Big Country Time Sports free folder. And so when you make a team now, you can make a coach and you can assign the coach a style, and that style affects the team in every game they play until that coach is fired. However, if you don't want it to be based on the coach, you can use it as a strategy per game, per quarter, right? And there are 6 strategies. There are normal, which is how the game is designed to be played. This would be rules as written. There's fast break style and how it affects the teams. There's isolation style offense, how it affects the team. Zone defense is the only defensive style and how it affects the team. Perimeter pressure and how it affects your and again, this affects the ratings of your players and how they score points. For those who aren't familiar with how basketball time works, and go big, which is featuring big men in the paint. So I suggest that you make it your coach and you assign your coach a style, and then create your team. And some players are going to fit that team, some players aren't. It's going to create an interesting effect upon whether you want coaches or fire coaches, or whether coaches might trade players around or whatever. However, you could literally use this like from quarter to quarter strategies. This quarter we're going to go isolation, and I'm going to make the changes to my team, and it's going to affect the outcome. Depends on how deep you want to get with your sim. Also, for those who haven't noticed, I use scores. I check my scores at 4 minutes, 8 minutes, and 12 minutes. In the video, I'm checking the scores 3 times for both teams each quarter. And that's obviously a lower output performance. If you want to get it closer to modern basketball scores, check your scores at 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, and 12 minutes. That will give you basically one more score for each team per quarter, and that's going to get you closer to 90 and 100 and something points a game. I use 4, 8, and 12 because mine is based on the 1940s basketball with no three-pointer, etc., etc. Tighty whities and no dunks, and guys weren't shooting three-pointers. It's a different kind of basketball back in the day. If you want modern basketball, or you want higher scores, just add one more scoring turn to each team per quarter, and that's listed here. So I wanted to bring that up to speed. So, and again, this is free. This has been added to the big book. And because I had to go through and edit every single book to meet EU compliance, I went ahead and updated. The big hardback book has that basketball styles in it, as well as the new EU compliant rules. This happens to be the 7x10 format paperback of the same book. Not this, excuse me, this one here. So the big hardback book is 203 pages. The paperback is 7x10, larger format. It's only 148 pages. Exact same book, different font, larger format, paperback. And again, they both have now the basketball strategies in the book. And I'll show you what is required. Lulu said this is the one way to be compliant. You have to put your name, your business name, your address, and your email. Duh, there it is. So if this is all I need to be EU compliant with safety protocol, then there it is. It's a way for the EA or whatever to get a hold of me, or customers to get a hold of me. So I think that's all I have to do to be EU compliant. We'll find out once I talk to Lulu. But so Big Country Sports paperback now is large format, slightly different font, brought up to speed. The hardback book, the linen wrapped hardback book, is exactly the same as it was. I just added those strategies to it and the EU compliant stuff I had to do. So I would not have made these changes to the books, but since I had to go in and add to the PDF the EU compliant information, I went ahead and fixed all these books. Man vs. Beast, my role-playing game. This was funny. I didn't even notice this until I went in here to add. When I went in here to add this information, the last 3 pages, the font was different than the rest of the book. I have no idea how the font for the last 5 pages was different than the rest of the book, but I fixed that. But there were also some other things that needed to be addressed that I was going to put out in a free addendum, and I just didn't get around to it. I had failed to properly describe, or in the rules, how recovery affects the monsters. When I did my combat tutorial on YouTube, I did it properly, but I didn't realize I had not written it in the rule book, or I hadn't written it all the way out. So that needed to be fixed. So now recovery is actually defined for the monsters, and how that works. Also, I brought up to speed the monster table to reflect what recovery looks like for those monsters. So what is recovery? So when you run into a bear, it's got 15 health, and when you and your party defeat the bear down to 0, it makes a recovery roll, and if it succeeds, it doesn't die. It rears its head and says, "I'm not dead yet. Let's keep going." If you reduce it then from 7 to 0, it has another recovery roll, and if it makes that roll, it recovers a 3rd time. And in other words, you haven't quite killed the bear. This makes monsters very dangerous because they may or may not survive the first killing blow, and they may catch a second wind, so to speak, or whatever. So and you'll notice the creatures with 1 health obviously don't have a recovery. A bird is not going to rear its head and say, "Let's go again." The cat, when you kill a cat, it's dead, right? So, but a bear, a giant bird, a cyclops is the most dangerous creature in the game, and it will rear its head up to 4 times with a 10 recovery. So recovery makes battling these, again, it's a role-playing fantasy game, man versus beast. I mean, you are with a party, and you're going to be facing beasts, and it makes these beasts interesting challenges, etc. So that's been fixed. And of course, I made sure there was no recovery number for creatures that don't recover. You kill a dog, it's dead, right? It ain't gonna rear its head, right? Okay, that's done. And I did define how recovery worked. I had not realized I had not defined it in the book until I came back and I perused it and made sure everything was fixed, and found that somehow the font in the last few pages was wrong. So I fixed that. So that's brought up to speed and up to date. This is also now no longer a saddle stitched. This is 7x10 paperback. It's no longer saddle stitched. So I think it's better in the paperback. The saddle stitched is nice, but it just seems a little cheap. Big Country Mobster. I've been needing to get back to Big Country Mobster for a couple of reasons. One, I don't like the cover, and so I got a new cover for Big Country Mobster, and I've also added some art inside. I've added a piece of art inside the book. I've also changed the font to a more classic font, and cleaned up the work again here too. So for those who For those who don't know, Big Country Mobster is a solo adventure game. You roll a d10. It's almost completely automated. You're meant to enjoy the ride. It takes you for a ride, and you're meant to make a couple of simple decisions. But in reality, you're here for the narrative. You're here to make sense of your hero's adventure, or of your mobster's adventure. So for those who like this kind of thing, great fun. I think it's great fun. You can play, a game can be over in a few minutes. It can last you for weeks, depends on how it goes. Anyway, so there's been some art added, and there's a new cover for the book. And this now is hardback 7x10. It was always 7x10, but it is now a hardback wraparound art. And again, it's color because the conflict charts have to be in color, because red is bad, green is good. If you win the contest, you gain those points for your mobster's rating. If you lose those points for your mobster's rating. So you can end up with a mobster in a war of attrition, and eventually you lose the game, or your mobster eventually gets powerful enough to defeat the big boss and you win the game. That's how that works. And again, I had to add the information that Lulu recommends for this meeting the EU guidelines. So hopefully this will be all I need to do. And last but not least, those who don't know, I've been playing Big Country Football the last couple of days. I recorded 2 Big Country Football games this morning. I am playing the absolute original game book. That was the very first book that I published, Big Country Football version 1 that I published. And that particular chart and game is by far the best version of Big Country Football as far as as a designer, I want out there. But anyway, long story short, I'm using that version of Big Country Football for my 25th season of Patriot Football League. And so I did record a couple of games this morning. I just have not had time to upload them. And had to get to work on updating all these damn books today. So I've done that. But in doing that, I had taken Big Country Football off Lulu, and I had removed Big Country Football Original and version 1E 1.2 or whatever. I had removed completely from both the Lulu and from the free thing. And the reality is the original game is something I do want out there, and it's something that I think is it's the best version of the game. So I went back to the book and cleaned up some stuff, again tightened up the book, simplified some of the text, and got back to the original chart. The original chart was just a better chart. There's just a couple of tweaks in the latest charts, not big, just a couple of minor tweaks. And so I went back to the original charts and also fixed a couple of inconsistencies in the text, rectified that. I fixed the 20 block. This had been, 20 is the block. If you try to block a field goal or a punt and you roll a 20, it's a block. I had 1 in here for the longest time. I've got that fixed. Also, I have removed the quick game feature. This game was never meant to have a quick play feature. And because I had made a quick play feature, I made a stat generation set of rules. So you could generate stats for your box scores, so you could track statistics for quick play games. And I removed all of that. This game was never meant to be a quick play game. It was meant to be a down by down, snap by snap football simulator. And if you're going to play a down by down, snap by snap football simulator and you want statistics, then by all means you should be recording your statistics. When I put in the quick play feature, I wanted people to be able to make stats for their quick play games, and so I created that. Well, the reality is I don't believe the game should have a quick play feature. If you want to play a fast playing football game, there's lots of great games. There's fast drive football, there's drive time football, there's family football, there's game winning drive football, there's my game football time. So if you want to play a fast playing football game, there are gobs of choices. So I took out the quick play features for this game and removed the stat generation box score stuff. So this is also 7x10 paperback with a new cover. And it is now available for sale again now. So that's kind of an update. I'm not certain that I can go in here. I'm not certain I can get in here. Maybe I can. Maybe I can go to Lulu and show you what's up. Yeah, so Big Country Time, the hardback. Again, this is 203 pages hardback. Has been updated to add the basketball style strategy piece as well as the new EU information. Big Country Times Sports, it's the exact same book as this. It's just a 7x10 format, paperback. So, of course, much cheaper and less pages, 148 pages with a larger format. And again, adding the same stuff to it. Man vs. Beast now, 7x10, corrected some of the rules that needed to be fixed. And it is now a hardback book. Paperback book, not hardback, paperback. Big Country Mobster has been a new cover. It has been tweaked and brought up to speed. And again, this is a hardback, a complete hardback game with a color chart in it. And last but not least, Big Country Football First Edition. Again, this no longer has the quick game charts. It no longer has the stat charts. And I've edited the charts that are in this book back to those very first charts. And then also brought that text up to consistency. The text in those charts was a little off, so I made that more consistent. And that's that. Full on football, Dell's football game, I updated today as well. All that changed there was adding that EU information to Dell's book. So full on football, and again, it won't affect any. It doesn't affect anything other than EU wants to be able to track where stuff comes from online, and to safety standards. And again, these are books, so I don't know how they could violate safety standards. I suppose if I was telling people how to build a house or something, there might be some safety standards. I have no idea. But as I told Lulu in my email, if your book is safe, then my games are safe, because my games are in your books. And unless your books are chemically poisonous or something, I have no idea why this matters to us book owners, or book providers. But either way, I've done what I can. That may not be enough for the EU. And I don't know what more I'll have to do, but at least these are all been brought up to speed. And again, the big reason I have made this video too is to let everyone know that the add-on for the basketball strategies is now available free in the Google Drive. All right, everybody, have a great week, and I hope everybody's enjoying their time. I'm hoping to upload the first 2 games of the Patriot Football League's 25th season, playing Big Country Football. All right, bye-bye.